Blank page, white, empty. Pencils lined up in a row. It's just a page and it's just a pencil. But add a hand and put them together, the ingredients for a masterpiece. A brilliant work of art, but it all depends on the hand that moves them together, the hand that makes the art, or scribble. Watching an artist work, the lines being made, sporadic, nonsensical, and to think that that could turn into this. Blind, mindless, the paper knows not what the hand creates. Not until it's too late. Back up. Merge together. Lines turn into meaning, and meaning is implied with the mind. But if the mind cannot see what is happening, how is it to know? If this hand is making a masterpiece or turning the blank page into scrap paper, chicken scratch, meaningless except to the one writing, controlling the whole thing. We were standing in the storm without an umbrella, taught to think everything was okay, blinded to the fact lightning was hitting just inches away. The rain drenching everything. He spoke of being dry. He spoke of warmth and shelter, told us we would be better if we just stayed together and questioned nothing. He would find a roof to cover. He would discover what was better. Manipulation, he thought he was clever. Everyone under the thumb of oppression. Depression weighing down every soul, and yet not one thought to ask if anyone had it better. He said people were changing, not naming names, of course. If you name names, you are given the perfect information to ask if the lies that were spoken were truth. Souls were drowning and dying, and he kept weaving lies of better use of time than complaining or communicating with anyone else. Guilt and secrets controlled the game. How dare you leave when you need to stay, even if it was only a one-night worship service? He who will not be named preyed on the weak, seeing the hindrances in their lives and using that to his advantage. Those who sought advice or counseling, he let them talk and listened for anything that they wanted to keep hidden. One soul, broken and hurt, tried to help build this church. She went with the intent to be healed, but all she got was mind-numbing, brainwashing lies, spiraling her life into a delusion. No, I'm not drowning. It's not raining here. It's okay, but soon the truth would begin to float. He took over her family, tried to replace the husband, fixing things. He's too busy at work. Excuses, mask put on, so when he crossed the line, she couldn't say anything. Lost, water up to her ears. She was trying to stay afloat, and he just so happened to seem just tall enough, strong enough to keep her afloat. He'd push buttons, start fights. She would time and time again jump in the water and try to let go, but by then the water was far past her nose, and she could not swim. She could not keep afloat. He was hurting her, but nothing seemed worse than that water of uncertainty. He knew everything. He could say anything. Everyone trusted him. Who would believe? The person keeping them out of the water was hurting her, making her miserable. What would her family think? He was supposed to teach her how to swim on her own, but all he did was make himself a pool floaty. If she cannot swim, she won't let go. What else can I say? It was a cult. It started when I was young. Since I can remember, he played like he was an angel. But I saw him pushing buttons. I saw him crossing lines. But I was too young to yell, "He's the shark in the water!" An isolated island, alone, standing there watching him talk bad about my father, argue with my mother, and make everything worse when he was supposed to be making things better. I didn't know what was behind the scenes, just the constant feeling this guy's a creep. But what could I say? What could I do? I was a child living under my parents' roof. The church seemed fine. I had a friend there that was genuine. I really thought that he was trying to help others, and every time I had a doubt in my mind, I remembered I have a friend that I'd leave behind if we left this church. She was the only friend I had. And the times he'd come around, when I saw his car in the driveway, I inwardly groaned, grabbed my backpack, and walked into what was supposed to be my family's home, not his. I grew older, and soon enough I was off to college. I was not home when it finally happened, when my mom had had enough and threatened his hold on her mind and soul. But no, he wouldn't have it. No, he had to beat her. Off to the bishop with a sob tale with some full of crap web of lies. I remember my mom called me crying, and I was somehow relieved. This had to come out at some time, I always believed. Part of me thought this was just another fight. I tried to call my so-called pastor that night. He didn't answer. He changed his number. For someone who said he'd always be there, he sure left fast. And just like that, my whole life changed. My family changed and I wasn't there. Winter vacation finally came, and from my friend I heard things were still the same. The people stuck there wanted him back. I couldn't believe this was some sort of fact. I know he threw fits and tantrums. I know my mom wasn't the only target of his wicked rage. His hunger for power, they were all part of this game he liked to play. He was the head. He was the master. They could not survive without him, or surely they would be engulfed by the waves or some sort of flames. Go open their eyes. Let them see the error of their ways, see all the bruises and the pain caused by this man who falsely proclaimed he lived for a greater being than himself. How? How is this allowed? How is this not a crime to use power to take advantage of people's weaknesses they tell him? If a teacher was supposed to teach you how to swim and purposely made you sink, would you not sue them? This death and pain he caused, it's so rampant, and yet the bishop says he can set foot in that place when 2 years have passed. Just 2 years? If a counselor would threaten to break confidentiality to keep a client under control, would they not lose their license? Yet this man, who used somebody's past against them like a weapon, like some sort of blackmail, is allowed to walk free like he stepped on a flower, all because his title was pastor instead of boss or coworker. How is this allowed? Why won't anyone listen? The hurt he caused me and my family, and who knows how many other. There was a woman years ago who had psychological problems, and he decided he could do inappropriate things because who would listen to someone so eccentric and over the top? That should be a crime in any law book, but yet the title of position negates these offenses.